In the previous video, we discussed the fear of losing loved ones and how it eventually impacts a person. We also ran down bits and analyzed a few symptoms of how to overcome this particular fear that exists and is so common in today's generation. Well, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you know, I'm Dr. Nachiketa, and in today's video we're going to talk about the fear of change in life circumstances. So stay connected till the end, and hopefully this video will give you a better insight into this fear. So without further ado, let's start today's video. The fear of change in life circumstances is one of the most common fears experienced by a lot of us. Now, generally, change is hard for everybody, and there are not many people that don't feel fairly stressed or anxious about the possibility of a significant disturbance in their lives. The issue comes when, fear of change keeps individuals sort of paralyzed in their circumstances, to an extent that it's not beneficial for them anymore, nor is it satisfying when they get the fear of moving forward and making change in their lives. It doesn't have to be necessarily about, big changes, but even small changes, minor changes in our routines could be enough of fear-provoking to cause concern. Now, everybody encounters their own degree of fear of change, and that is the reason why a comfort zone exists. And, you're not alone surrounded by these feelings. As a matter of fact, neuroscience has shown that vulnerability feels like disappointment in our brains. And that is the reasons why so many individuals would prefer to stay away from change, just because of how uncomfortable the associated feelings can be. Fear of change. Now, while it's normal to feel that change is terrifying, certain individuals might be managing something, something much more serious than that, which is an extreme fear of change, which tends to be paralyzing and hard to live with. And this level of fear to change causes restlessness and serious tension when confronting new circumstances or encounters. Now that you have a basic idea about fear of change in life circumstances, let's have a deeper look at its symptoms and how you can deal with it. So why are people afraid of change? We are generally inclined to have a terrified and stressed outlook on things that address the vulnerability of our day-to-day life. Push us out of our comfort zone, or things that are slightly out of control. So a wide range of changes, big, small, unexpected, even positive or negative, require significant psychological adjustment. And the reality is that we track down solace and security in our daily routine, regardless of whether we think it's boring or not. So, for some purposes, the feeling of fear towards change will be firmly connected to one's sense of fear of change in life circumstances, or even a more profound existential crisis. Causes of fear of change. A lot of factors lead to fear of change. They can be biological, environmental, or related to any past incidents. Some of the common causes that lead to the development of phobia of change are distressful childhood experiences related to a change, being raised in an environment where change was seen as a threat, feeling a loss of control, self-doubt, self-criticism, and feeling insecure about adjusting well to changes. Genetic factors or having a close relative with fear or phobia. So how can one overcome the fear of change? You see, if you're terrified and scared of change, then don't worry, because there are ways to adjust to it, including looking for, assistance, embracing current realities, having an arrangement set up, moving your viewpoint, and thinking about previous encounters, and so on and so forth. So let's have a look at it in a bit more detail. Embrace the change. Acceptance doesn't mean that you're careless or complacent. It just means being aware of reality. Now, this can bring, your inner harmony and make it simpler for you to adapt. The truth is that not only does resisting change make it harder to deal with, but it also prevents you from realizing whether it might be a good change after all. The better you understand how to confront the fear of change, the more emotionally resilient you will be. Reflect on the last time you dealt with it. Consider previous encounters and remind yourself about the changes and difficulties you've survived. Regardless of whether you accept, how bad things were, odds are good that you turn out into a more grounded individual subsequently. Ask yourself, what lessons did I learn? What assisted me with bouncing back from that? What attributes do I have that permitted me to manage the change? Now, through this self-assessment, you might come to understand that you're more grounded than you suspect, and that you have a coping mechanism to deal with anxieties like this. Next, don't overthink. Well, uncertainty or the prospect of losing what's familiar can be terrible, but overthinking and overstressing can only make things more troublesome than they really are. Rather than overthinking, ground yourself a bit here and go with choices that are right there in front of you, rather than speculating into the future or ruminating about the past. Restricting things down can diminish the psychological pressure of navigation, through our daily life, and set things to ensure forward movement. It might take a little while, but in the end, you will see what is going on. And it isn't as terrible as you thought that change would be. The next one, be optimistic. Change your negative thoughts into positive. Self-talk and affirmations help. Imagine your future with confidence. Challenge your own psychological obstacles and attempt to see the world from a different perspective. Cultivating optimism can truly have an effect on beating the fear of change and returning from unfavorable conditions. Have a plan. If you realize that there might be an impending change, adopt a proactive strategy, and set the stage. Think about what it will resemble for you and plan for any obstruction you might experience through the change. Change can feel less alarming when you know where you stand and where you're heading. Next, have a support system. Look out for trusted friends and family members as a way for direction and support and ideas. If they can assist with helping your mindset, facilitating your concerns, and bringing a new point of view, being in such an environment where you feel sustained and approved is crucial for your overall well-being. And when you have a support system in place, change in life circumstances looks very, very, very less scary. With that said, your fear of change in life circumstances is valid. And at times, it can really take a toll on your mental health. But there's always a way to turn it around. And don't forget, if you're stuck with something and it's getting a bit difficult, ask for help. It always makes a difference. In my next video, we will talk about the fear of failure. One of the most experienced fears amongst people. So I'll see you at the next video. In the meantime, take it easy, look after yourself, and thank you.